What's up, guys? We are back with the Realness Lounge podcast again. I know it's been a long time coming, but we got everybody on here except for Honey. She's sick, but we want to give a round of applause for our guest. She's literally came a long way in her life. I cannot wait to announce everything about her. We're going to obviously start off by giving everybody a round of applause for KJ.
Hey, what up, y'all? Welcome back. Let's go.
Jason.
What's going on, everybody?
And go ahead and introduce yourself.
I'm Sari, Lopez.
Woo! Guys, her story is crazy. And our newest member, you'll love him. He's on TikTok, big on TikTok. Robert!
What's good, guys? It's good. Welcome on.
Guys, I know it's been a long time, so thank you guys so much for being patient with us. A lot of things are to come. But this episode, we're really going to focus a lot on emotional abuse and why do we stay in toxic relationships. So if that man is toxic, this is for you. Don't go anywhere. And if that woman's toxic, same thing. But I can't believe, even having her on this show, she drove all the way from California to Arizona.
All the way from Cali.
Yeah, so no, we appreciate you being here on the show.
Thank you.
No.
Glad to be here. Happy to be here.
And what I want to know is I know manipulation happens. I would say, and not a lot of people know about it, right? I mean, who would you say is more manipulative, men or women?
I would say that women.
Women? Dang!
I know, just saying. I don't know. I think that women, we think a lot, I think deeper, right?
Yeah,
I think that
true.
men are more superficial. I think that women we're just deep thinkers. We really think about the underlying issue, maybe how we can get our way. I know I can manipulate real good. I'm just being honest.
Damn, that's crazy.
I'm just being really honest.
That's coming from a woman.
If you ever dated toxic girl, they're good liars. For real.
No, for real. I mean, just
She says,
I think
"I'm
that men are
asleep,
very
she ain't
simple.
asleep."
Right?
Yeah, no, I agree. What about you, Jason? What do you think?
I don't know. I feel like I'm halfway offended by this because it just call it simple.
Okay.
You got your boxes, and right? And no, I feel like that's right.
Yeah,
No?
I don't know. In all honesty, I believe that the majority of people are not very deep thinkers. So you'll run into women who think deeply and men who do as well. But I don't think it's a blanket statement in either direction.
Really? I don't know. I just think so deep about everything. I'm always taking everything and
I feel
analyzing
that's how
it.
You say you're at the club, they're looking at the club photos. They're like, is she only really at the club? Like the actual club photos.
But
What
is
about
that
you?
But I know if I'm trying to be sneaky, okay, this is before, when
Back
I'm
in the
trying
day.
to put a story behind it, put this behind it, very, very,
Young times.
yes. But I don't know if we're good at being, I think I'm good at being sneaky.
But
I think men are too, though.
So is being sneaky the same as being deep? Like deep thinking, like complex plans?
I think you're the complex on a stupid level, though, because why would you want to put so much energy into, I'm just speaking, why would you want to put so much energy into being so extra on something that doesn't really matter, right?
I agree with that fully.
Right?
Yeah.
Right? So, I mean, depending on the person, but I feel like definitely women can be very manipulative,
I agree. No,
I mean, I feel like I was manipulative from the time I was younger, and I don't think it's a great thing to admit, but I feel like it's a honest thing to admit as well.
What do you think, KJ?
No, yeah, kind of like what she said. I was just nodding my head over here, yeah.
He's like, yeah.
Women, but I think it's just kind of like with both. Men could be manipulated too. Or
Facts.
toxic. It just kind of
True.
It's both creatures. To be honest with you, it all depends on the situation, the type of person they are, their character.
I feel like
Anybody could be manipulative. You know what I mean?
True.
Female or male.
What about you, Robert?
I'm gonna agree with pretty much all three of you guys. Especially from a woman to admit that women are manipulative. And from Jason and Cage's perspective,
balance. Yeah,
I could kind of see it where it's equal. There's men and women for me, it's gonna be equal. There's always manipulation, the situations, and it all depends the type of relationship, and if it's friendships, dating wise, talking, whatever it is, sneaky links. There's trauma with their dads, their moms. There's all manipulations all across the board.
True.
So I would say it's 50-50.
Yeah. And I think a lot of people don't really speak about emotional abuse. There's manipulation, there's gaslighting. I mean, I know you started this big business. Tell us about your business that you have right now.
Well, I started my company 11 years ago. Mm-hmm. So it's an e-commerce business. Crazy enough, I never really thought that I would be in, it's very surreal. I never thought that I would be where I am today for sure. So Yeah, crazy. I don't know. What do you want to know about it? Like, ask me whatever.
I have a
like,
question. So
yeah.
what made you like inspire you to like start your e-commerce? What got you like from overnight be like, hey,
Okay, so my son was in a hospital like malpractice type of situation years ago, and it kind of put me as like I had to be at home, like I had to be at home mom. I didn't have a lot of options to work outside of the house, and it was very depressing. Like not to be weird or like I like to be busy. I'm very independent. So with my company, like I started like just thinking that I was going to like sell things to like moms that I knew. My daughters were in dance. So it was kind of like my outlet because I felt like I had like some issues with PTSD, like a lot of issues, like dealing with just being at home, dealing with my son. It was hard, like a lot of emotional, like when you're at home and you're looking at your son, and my son was sick, and it wasn't like my fault. You know what I mean? Like it was the hospital's fault, but it's hard to deal with. So it's a lot in your face. So I felt like I needed an outlet to, kind of like when I started working out. So I had before I started my company, I was a Zumba teacher, and I was teaching fitness courses, and that was my outlet, but it's like $20 an hour. Okay, let's be real. So, and I really started opening my company from but I loved my classes. Like, I just want to say that. But that was what helped me to really get out there and put myself out there, be exposed to
motivate you
people.
more
Yes.
to grow and continue to grow.
Yeah, so I
grow.
use those classes as like, okay, I'm going to use that little money. Maybe I was teaching like 5 to 8 classes a day, and maybe it was like $100 a day. And I was using that and flipping it back into my company, purchasing fabric, finding resources. I didn't know really what I was doing. I had no clue. All I knew is that I was like a very motivated person. I was never lazy. So I just used that time. I'm bored at home. Like I needed something because I was going crazy, and I turned it into a company.
So when you say fabric, like, what do you mean by fabric? Like you invested your money back into fabric?
Fabric, like in the garment district in like LA, like actually like lycra, like spandex type
so
of.
So you make clothing and shit?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So my daughter who's now almost 19, she was a dancer, and that was kind of it was helpful for me to be a dance mom at the time. Right. Like it was like an outlet for me to not just be stuck at home watching my son. He was sick. He wasn't able to do a lot of things. We have to be able to see like what we can do outside of those things, and I wasn't used to like sitting at home doing nothing. No. It was driving me fucking crazy.
So then like your daughter like inspired you type?
Yes.
Kind of like
and so like it was kind of like an outlet for me to like, okay, release like all this pent up like.
So then you started doing like dresses and leggings?
Well, it's like leggings, like booty shorts, like little like dance. My daughter was like
Put
tiny.
the link below, guys. If you guys, it's getting hot. You need some booty shorts.
Yeah,
KJ,
she
brought you a little sample for you.
Well, and my daughter was so little.
What's the company called?
It's Candy Couture with K.
Candy Couture, guys. Make sure you follow that.
Okay, damn.
Yeah.
Check that shit out.
So like it's crazy though, because I didn't go to school for like fashion design. I always was very creative. I always had a lot of I was very creative.
How did you learn the process? Like how did you learn the process? Did somebody teach you, or did you kind of like learn on your own?
No. I didn't. No one taught me. I learned on my own.
You're designing everything.
So another little follow-up question. So while you say you were on your own, you had no experience, you didn't know what you were doing, you had a goal and a vision, right?
Yes.
But while you're in that path, did you ever hit road bumps that kind of stopped you to motivate you?
So many road bumps. Oh my goodness.
To the point that you wanted to give up, but how did you overcome all those?
Well, I mean, like I had a lot of road bumps. So like when I first started, my youngest 2 girls' dad, he went to prison for being physically abusive. And that was hard for me, but I kept it pushing. So I was like, I need to make more money than what I'm making, taking care of my son. And I'm going to figure out a way, because my daughter, who was little at the time, she loved to dance, and dance is not cheap. Like dance is an expensive sport. So
Nothing ain't cheap nowadays.
Yeah, but then I knew a lot of moms in California. They have money. They want to buy dance outfits, and so I was like, well, my daughter was like tiny at the time. I'm like, well, this little tiny booty short cannot cost I would pay like $90 to $100 for each tiny little short.
Wow.
And so I'm like, this cannot cost that much. My common sense, I'm like, okay, well, I'm gonna see if I can replicate. So I literally, this is true shit. I would unsew her shorts, and I would make my own patterns. I had a nanny at the time. I made patterns out of paper. Had no clue what I was doing.
Paper, yeah.
Yeah, and then
crazy.
I started like,
Paper,
and this is when Instagram wasn't so saturated. So I would literally make little items and send them to other little dancers, and they would post for me.
Oh, that's
Damn.
nice. That's nice. Of you.
But like weird, right? Like
Yeah.
it doesn't seem like this is for real shit.
That's
Like,
smart.
No, that's
for
real.
real.
Yeah.
And I just had an idea. So the idea turned into an actual business. I didn't really realize that I got in the right niche at the right time, and I just had like enough motivation. So I just kept pushing on. Like, like there's so many, when you talk about roadblocks and issues, oh my gosh, I had so many issues.
When did you realize it turned into a business? Like when you got so many orders?
I had a friend that actually, their daughter danced as well. And the wife and the husband he had a different company that was like dance related, but he helped me create a website in GoDaddy. I don't know if anybody's familiar with GoDaddy.
Oh yeah, that's just famous.
That's super basic, right?
That's just
Like,
famous for like making websites.
Yes,
like,
but it
come
was
on now.
super basic.
They're not
Wasn't
even-
really like what my
I know
website is
exactly
now.
what
So
she's
I'm
talking
like,
about now.
but it was. I mean,
Gotta
but
start
it
from
made
somewhere,
it made
yeah.
it work. It made everything happen. So everything just started unfolding. And then I would send free items to a lot of dancers. They would repost for me, and I really built my company off of Instagram.
Did you hear that shit? Free too. You
Yeah.
sent it for free.
Literally.
do you
Well, I
think-
started my company with $500. When people
What?
say that they want to
Goddamn.
they create a company, I don't have money. I didn't have credit.
It's all
I didn't
excuses.
have like.
And with that $500,
I didn't have good. I had horrible credit. I had horrible credit. I didn't have any family in California. All I had was myself and my children, and like literally, I built my company off of sending free items to other dancers.
$500, no excuses.
Yeah.
I wouldn't call it
$500.
free. I would call it like more like an investment.
Yeah, an
Because,
investment.
Yeah, you're
like I
right.
said,
Yes.
you were a single, mother at that time, and you wanted to grow, so you were just investing in yourself.
Yes.
So and that's what made you
I
be
started off
where
with
you're
an
at
idea,
now.
and her daughter's like dance team type shit. Like,
Yeah.
that's
And my
what's up.
daughter, like literally, like this is
Like
when.
that shit started. Like shout out to your daughter, like low key.
Oh,
like, you know what I mean?
for real, like
no,
for real, and they would be
But
like,
shout
I
out
would
to
pull
your
over
genius.
wherever,
Shout out
like
to your
I'd-
creativity.
Absolutely.
Your
And they would never, I
creativity.
remember back, like they would never complain. My two younger daughters, they're now 15 and 19. They would never complain. I'd be like, let's pull over here, take pictures. I'd be taking pictures with my phone. Like we just made it work, like just doing
What?
the
Oh, damn.
But in my mind, I'm like trying to like swim through quicksand, but that's the whole point is people ask me all the time, like, how can you start a company? And when you tell them, they're like, oh, okay. Like they want the easy shit. They want like, oh, I want
that's so
the
true.
9 to 5
That's
shit.
real,
I'm
yeah.
like, in the beginning you have to work extra hard. You have to do the most. You have to be driven. You have to be focused. And then after that, like right now, I can come to Arizona. It's different. Like I can do things to
Like be your own boss type
absolutely.
shit. Like work
but
when
it
you
wasn't
want.
always. It hasn't always been like that.
But you said
I was the one working 18
you started
hours
this
a day.
11 years ago, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
like you reap what you reap what you
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
yeah.
Like
If
the
you put
fruits,
your- you
like
put
that
the-
fucking saying. Like
yeah.
you built the damn tree, you planted a
Absolutely.
seed, now you chilling in the shade.
Absolutely. So it hasn't always, people always ask me, okay, well, how can I start my own company? I'm like, okay, I'm going to tell you A, B, C, and D. They're like, okay, by A, they're like, They like never contact me again. But I'm not saying that everybody, I'm just saying the majority.
And I'm sure A is
Right.
like
And I
hard
don't
work.
even like to be like that, but I'm just being real.
Yeah, what do you think about that, Jason?
I mean,
So I think the biggest takeaway here is you hear people all the time talk about they want to do stuff, but they don't know what to do.
Yes.
And you started having absolutely no idea and just went. And things kind of unfold as you go along
Yes.
the path.
yes.
But people need their detailed instructions and playbooks for things.
Yeah, they want like, and even with that, they don't even like, okay,
No, they
even
don't
take
want to
like,
do it because they
Even
want it to
with
be
that,
easy,
like,
and they
they
want
won't take
like
the
cheat
risk.
codes for everything.
yes.
And everyone thinks they're
cheat
Everything
codes,
is.
yes.
Yeah.
That's the
It's a
society
risk.
that we live in. They want it all easy.
Yeah.
Absolutely,
That's
absolutely,
true. That's
absolutely.
true.
You know what the thing is? It's like I feel like with my daughters though. So my daughter, she's almost 19. She's gonna be 19 next month. But like she's like doing graphic design. She can create websites. Like there's no school involved. She didn't. She graduated at 16, and she's like, and I'm not gonna lie. Like I was paying for her to like. By the time she knew like decent grammar, knew the decent like the math, you know what I mean? And English, math and English are important to me. Unless you're gonna be an engineer, because like I asked my brother for like
We have an engineer in the
No,
house, guys.
like for real, and I'm not even downplaying, but like for my daughter, she's like, I don't want to go to school. Like I was never the best at, and I admire people who are really good at focusing at school.
Yeah, school
like
ain't
for
for
me,
everybody.
like I was,
You know what I mean?
I was like the one in trouble in school.
School ain't
Like
for
I
everybody.
couldn't focus in school. Like you're always in trouble every year. The report card and like so like there's different types of people. So when I'm not downplaying. Like if you want to go to college and you're like super intelligent, use that. But if you're not, there's other ways for you to fucking make money in this world.
That's a fact.
Right? Like you don't have to be intelligent. You don't have to go to college. There's so many different types of people out there. We have to just roll with what feels good. What works for us, right?
I agree.
You know, so I feel like that for me, like I was not the best in school. And I admire people who like, I would be a nurse. I'd be like, probably like a doctor at this point, like, cause my son has special needs, but school for me I wasn't the best.
Well, fun
right?
fact.
Me neither, and I'm not
fun
math.
fact
Yeah.
of why, since you mentioned the medical field, I just left nursing.
Did you?
Just started it, finished it, was there doing a couple of years, and then just left.
A couple years, you're almost there. Like, why?
I got burnt out. No, I finished it and everything, but I got burnt out.
Did you?
I was doing home health, so like home health skill nursing. For
Well, no,
like,
you had your whole nursing.
No, because my son has severe special needs. So
Yeah.
my son was, my son's 26. He's like actually like he's like a baby still. Like I thought he's like my baby.
Oh, yeah,
but he's like actually the size of like a 12 or a 13-year-old. And I understand. I feel like home health like disappeared after the pandemic. No.
Yeah.
Because
A lot of
since then I
shit
can't
disappeared
find
after the
yeah,
pandemic.
exactly.
Like 24-hour Walmart.
Like,
the fuck?
yeah.
24-hour Walmart.
The 99-cent store now.
Remember that shit?
I do miss the
I know,
24 hour
for real.
Walmart.
You didn't know that? Bro,
Hey, no,
stop
the 99 no, it's
Bro, I used
crazy
to love
too.
that
Like
shit.
how far you came in the business. You mentioned that you were also physically abused, emotionally abused. Like I know we were talking earlier. You know, not a lot of people know about what emotional abuse is. So if some girl's watching this right now and she's like, "What is that?" How could you explain it to them?
Oh my gosh. So
That's
where
what
do I
you call
start?
about. That's,
I don't know.
yeah, that's
So
what you call about being strong.
My first husband, so my son's husband or my son's dad that I was married to like, oh my gosh, years ago. My son's now 26 years old, but he was at first he was physically abusive to me. And then he was emotionally like, verbally abusive to me, you know? And it, like, by the time, like, this is so long, this is my dog, my son was like, my son's 26. My son was like 3 years old when I left him. But the way he made me feel, like I felt like I was nothing, like I was nothing, you know, for so long. And that was hard. When I left him, I finally figured out that I'm like, he's a liar. Like I am something, you know? And so like emotional abuse, I feel like can affect a woman or a person way more than even physical abuse.
No.
You know?
It's just
I
as
agree.
bad. It's
Like
just as
what
bad.
we are what we're told,
No, it's just
right?
as
Like we are.
bad.
It's like the same thing. You are who you hang out with. So if you're being told that you ain't shit every day, or you ugly, like you're
start to
whatever,
believe it.
right?
Yeah.
You believe it after
No,
time.
I swear to God, I read like a study or scientific bullshit, like you know what I mean, type shit. Like like a verbal assault is the same thing as like a physical abuse.
Yeah.
Y'all could Google that shit right now.
Like
Type
so,
shit. I
he
swear to
told
God,
you that.
it's
So
the
he
same
put you down.
bullshit.
So there was verbal put downs. Would he gaslight you?
Well, he was manipulative all the way. Like you
Just
know,
find that. What would you say
Lying.
about
Well,
that?
just make
Yeah,
me
like,
make
just,
me
like,
feel
feel
like
like
I
you ain't-
wasn't anybody. Like nobody wanted me. That I was unworthy.
Not
you know,
good enough.
not good enough. Absolutely.
Yeah,
And
like-
after time, I really believed that. And then here I'm at home taking care of a disabled child. You know, I'm in a chair holding my son for like literally almost 2
No,
years.
you
I
just
held
said
my
the
son.
key part because like you said disabled child, like you know like that takes like bless your heart type shit. Because there's what I'm trying to say is like there's even females who don't even have that situation and still can't leave the motherfucker. Can't still leave the motherfucker. You know what I mean? Like,
Well, yeah, I agree with that, KJ, heavily.
Yeah.
I feel like if you guys are watching this right now
Like, she
and you
went-
guys
she
are
did- she did a
literally
lot.
like not knowing when to leave, what would you tell this girl that wouldn't want to leave
Well,
that
you know
man?
what
shit, it takes a lot.
my cue to leave at that point was my son had 3 open heart surgeries. One was at 3 months. The second was at 1 year. The third was at 2 years. And when he didn't show up for the third surgery,
He didn't show up
for an open heart surgery.
Oh my
When they, I don't know if you know about
Child.
open heart surgery. Well, you do, right? When open heart surgery, they put you on the bypass machine. This is like most grown people like us, like adults, they can't even. They don't. A lot
They
of
don't
people don't
comprehend. They
survive.
don't know. They just think, oh, surgery, he'll be fine.
It's
That's
like
it.
that's a
No, like,
major
you just hurt
surgery.
your-
Like,
heart.
you
This
hurt
ain't no
your heart.
surgery.
You can't
Yeah,
live
this
without
ain't
your
no
heart.
regular
Heart,
surgery.
brain, hello, like it's our organ. Like
And that's your son type shit.
yeah,
That's
no,
your-
he didn't show up. And
Damn.
so that at
What
that
the
time I
fuck?
was like,
nah,
I
that's
felt like, you know
enough.
what, it's time to leave.
yeah
So and you know what, it was a good thing because obviously I've come so far. Like, you know, but you know, you look back, it's very surreal, you know. So yeah, like he was very. That was my. I feel like that was my my
Wake-up call.
beginning. Well, that was my wake up call, but that was
Right.
also my first relationship, and I went through a lot with. Because the thing is, when I first had my,
How long were you with him for?
I was with him for like 4 years.
4 years. Okay.
shit so
Yeah.
all that
Okay.
shit he told you, you believed it because after so much years of conditioning, it's like your brain was used to it. I feel
Yes.
like a lot of girls don't know what emotional abuse is. Jason, how could you explain it to somebody?
How can I explain emotional
Yeah.
abuse? I don't know
Yeah.
that I'm the best person to sit here explaining emotional abuse. However,
I'm sure he
Jason,
could. I'm sure he could
what
hurt
I
some
will
feelings right
say
now.
though is you see a lot of people talking about gaslighting and narcissism and whatnot, and that's kind of like buzzwords
it's
now.
damn
But it's
culture
kind of like
nowadays, but,
bully.
like,
Like if you
nah.
say you're a bully, right? It's like sometimes it annoys me because I'm like, is it really bully? Is it being bullying?
Yeah,
Like,
or did somebody
yeah.
just look at you weird? Now
Yes,
you're breaking
yes,
down.
so there's
about
like a
it.
fine line,
Yeah,
right?
so I think that with the emotional abuse, yeah, a lot of people don't know about it, but I think that it gets cheapened by people throwing around the terms like that, calling everyone's ex-boyfriend is a narcissist now, or everyone saying something is gaslighting.
Yes.
And it kind of just diminishes what it really is.
Absolutely.
Yeah. A lot of people.
It's just the generation we growing up in. You
Yeah,
know what I mean?
yeah.
Type shit. It's the culture we live in. Like
I feel like a lot of women too,
The
like you
fuck?
mentioned that she was, you know, you were like, you didn't know whether to leave, right? When would you say it, like, I know you stated it was when the heart surgery, but I would say when women stay, I feel like it's due to the fact that they feel like they can't get any better.
Well, it's also that, but also I want to say that like with my situation with my son was like severely disabled. Like my son suffered a anoxic brain injury after like 3 months. Okay, so this is what happened with my son. My son was born with a heart defect. My son had open heart surgery at 3 months of age. So he's a tiny baby, and they did like this miraculous surgery. But 6 days after his first open heart surgery, my son suffered an anoxic brain injury. He went
oh my
into
God,
cardiac
I'm
arrest
So sorry to hear that.
because of not even just because of like his heart, because of the breathing tube, like the ventilator wasn't placed correctly.
And this is your first child, right?
No, this is my second child.
Oh, okay. I was about to
This
say.
is my
Even
second
then,
child. But even then, it's like if
Second,
you're a
first,
mom,
you know
like
what I
it
mean?
doesn't
Like,
matter.
that
First,
part.
second, sixth, whatever.
Fuck
Like it's your
that.
child, right? So like with my son, like I felt like, you know, I should stay. Like I was already lost because what I went through with my son was it was hard.
No,
It was hard. It was heartbreaking.
Well, that shit's
to me.
traumatizing. The
Yeah.
fuck?
Oh
my God,
Like,
that's your
that
I was
shit-
in the
It's a
room.
child.
I was in the room, and they're
The
like
fuck?
they're doing CPR on my son, and for over an hour. So that right there, like I already was like mentally a mess, you know. So you suffer PTSD. Like I remember crying. Like it was a lot for me to handle for years. It took me years to
Yeah.
really accept that my son was the way he was, you know.
Wow.
And it was like as a mom, you're like,
bet.
oh no, I don't want to believe it. I believe that God's bigger. I believe that that he's gonna be better. Like you know what I mean? Like you're in kind of not denial, but you feel me? Like the reality
hard to accept.
is
It's hard to
the
accept,
reality
yeah.
is my son was still like not okay.
And I actually understand you because I dated a girl. She had it was her third son, and her third son grew with kind of same condition. So he had an open heart surgery. His heart was outside.
Oh, yes,
And
it's-
so dating her was a struggle. Long story short, I don't want to get too much into it, but we ended up having a kid. But she ended up having an abortion behind my back. Because in her mindset is like, okay, I can't go through it
Yes.
again. I can't.
Yes.
I don't want to suffer through what I put my third son, and so that right there,
Yeah.
when
Oh,
I
wow.
felt like a like a knife
shit's
just stabbed
hard,
me, in
yeah.
the heart.
But as a mom, I
But
get
that's
it.
how much it
And
affected
then that's
her.
why I ended
That's
it.
how much it
But
affected her.
I was mad at her for a while too.
Fuck yeah.
But now hearing you talk, and I'm like, okay,
It
going
affects-
back because where I'm at now, I kind of understand what she did.
Well, I didn't expect to have any more children. So after I had my oldest daughter's 30, and then I had my son, he's now 26. I didn't want to have any more children because I was hurt. Like I was broken.
You're traumatized too.
Yeah,
'cause
you're already
you don't-
broken as a
yeah.
person. So when a man's fucking like doing more, like it's like fucking you up even
Shit.
more, right?
Yeah. And you stayed
And-
because of him too.
Yes.
Right? Well, because of the children.
Well, the child, like you're
Yeah,
like, I wanted
a lot
to.
of women do that.
I'm like, oh, I'm with the dad. I'm with the dad. Like he's gonna like he wasn't doing shit. I was doing the most. But for me, I didn't want to have any more children because I was scared that my children were going to be the same. Like, you don't know. Like, as a mom, we take everything literal, you know? Like, you're like, okay, literally, I'm not sure if my child's going to be healthy. Like, it's a big deal. Like, and women, like, I feel like that's why when we talk about women being manipulative, like, we're, like, very deep mentally, right? Like, we're, like, thinking about the extra.
Yeah, you guys think of, like, a million different scenarios type shit.
You
but,
know,
like, not only that, like shit,
Yeah.
I could kind of relate, not like me, but type shit, but, like, my baby mama, it was my first son, like, shout out to my baby boy, but, like, we almost lost my baby boy, like, because my, long story short, my baby mama, like, her placenta erupted. And so, like, my son's, like, heart rate started dropping and shit. So, like, we went through, like, a traumatic, like, pregnancy. And so, like, she's traumatized. Like, so who could even imagine, like, if she wants to even, like, could go on, continue type shit.
You have a child with her?
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
And your child's okay. That's so good.
Oh, yeah, no, he's good.
But you know what, those moments of, like, those moments in life are what teach us to be like, okay. Like, there's moments that teach us so much to be so grateful. Even like my son, I look at my son, listen, everybody's like, oh, I'm sorry. And I'm like, you know what? I'm not sorry. My son has taught me so much. Like, I look at him, my son, if you know him, he's so happy. And I'm like, why the fuck am I bitching? Like, why am I complaining about stupid ass shit? Like, for real. And I look at him and I'm like, I need to get my shit together. And that's where if you know me, my thing is I'm like, always get my shit together. Get your fucking shit together, I tell people.
I like that.
Because
it's
for real. For when I say that, it's like, it's heartfelt because I'm like, I look at my son, he'll be with a tube in his mouth, intubated, or like an IV in his neck. And I'm fucking complaining about stupid shit in life. And he's so happy. And I'm like, and my son's very coherent. He understands Spanish, he understands English, like, and he's happy. Now, mind you, like, maybe like he's been through things with me. I'm his mom. I'm pretty sure he's been, you know what I mean? Like, but I look at things from a different perspective that the things I bitch about and I complain about ain't shit. And that he is so happy and so grateful to be here, you know, and it makes me put everything into perspective.
I like
from
that.
what I can see, he's a strong boy. Because think about it, 3 surgeries at a young age.
True.
And then hearing your story too.
Oh my gosh, he's almost died so many times. I could tell you some crazy shit. Like, I've saved his life. My younger daughters have saved his life. I don't know. He just has the will to live. And when I look at him, I'm like, damn, I need to get my shit together. Stop bitching, stop whining, stop crying. Like, you got this, you know? And it gives me, and I see the whole part. Right, exactly. Like God put him in my life, and I'm a big person on energy. Like, energy is everything. And I look at him, and I'm like, man, I need to live out how he would be if he could speak, if he could, and he's 26. They told me he was going to die when he was 6 months.
Well,
they sent him home with me to die. They were like,
crazy.
okay, he's not going to live. And how do you plan for your child? I don't know how many of you have children, but like how do you plan? Okay, you know what I mean? Like, plan for your child not to be here. How could you ever plan?
Doctors are so negative. They'll tell you the worst thing. But the doctor is God. God makes that decision of whether or not, you know.
We can't as doctors, as anybody, we can't be like, oh, this time is this year. We're going to give you 6 months. Yeah, that's bullshit.
Even with the dog, they'll tell you that shit. I'm like, oh hell no, don't go there.
I know, like
don't
the
go
pessimistic thinking, right?
Exactly.
Yeah. So like, I feel like that helped me a lot to become who I am as a business owner, though. You know, like, I feel like I evolved into a new person, definitely, because I always have been a fighter. I've always been through shit. Like, I've never had an easy life. I mean, okay, so I'm adopted. I was adopted when I was a young child, like when I was a baby, was 3 days old, but I never really fit in. My parents are very, very different. Bless them, you know, like I'm very, very different. Like she knows that. My parents are so innocent. I don't know where I came from. I'm like an alien.
God
like,
bless
I don't
you
know,
guys.
you know, like I'm so different, right?
Much.
But my mom's always like, oh, you need to say this. But if you meet them, they're like, who's that? Like, they're like, is that your, they don't even believe that's my mom and dad because I don't look like them for one. And it's not that I don't act like them at all. And it's okay because I'm so thankful that like they gave me a good life, you know, like they gave me, they gave me work ethic. They gave me, you know, they're very strong. My mom's very, very Christian, but very strong. Like, okay, you know what, when shit is hard, God's got your back. You know, and through my son going through all of these times, like I was crying, was broken, you know, and my mom would tell me like, it's okay, like it's gonna be okay, and I believed her. Her strength was everything for me in those moments.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, I didn't ever feel like, oh, like if you meet them, they're not like me. They're like very different. They're very different. But when I had a DNA test done, and then and not that I'm downplaying my real mom or anything. I've never really met her. I met her like via phone or whatever. But I was just so grateful. Like, I'm like, man, I'm so grateful. Shit happens for a reason. Everything happens for a reason. Moments happen, even though we don't understand them. Like, but years later, I'm 49 now. I look back and I'm like, damn, like everything happens for a reason.
No, I agree with you on that.
Yeah.
Yep.
Everything happens for
But it's so weird, like surreal,
But
like
you go through
surreal
so much
moments. You're
pain.
like, yeah.
pain, and then you're like, why is this happening to me? Like, what's going on with me? And then when you were like, oh, that's why, like, there was better waiting for me. That's
Yes.
why I was going, like,
Yes.
example.
Oh my gosh,
I'm
yes.
going through this breakup, or not me, but like anybody who's watching this is going through a breakup, and they're
Yes.
like, man, like, why am I going through this dark hole? But little did you know that this was going to lead you to, I don't know, your future spouse or whoever you want to be with.
Absolutely.
Or you
Absolutely.
evolved, or you learned and you grew, and now you know boundaries. Like, let's say you were a people pleaser. Now you're a person who has boundaries now. Like, now I don't want nobody to fuck with me. And if you fuck with me, you're
Absolutely.
out. When you get older, you want to protect your peace.
Yes.
When you're younger, you want that chaos shit.
Like
You want that bad
when I
boy.
turned 40, I was like, okay, like I just started being a different person, becoming a different person. I feel like definitely the last 5 years, I want to say, like I really started really heavy working on myself. And as I worked on myself with my second husband, I outgrew him. And I noticed that he would laugh at me for
Wait, you said outgrew him?
Yeah, focus on that one.
outgrew him. Yeah, like I was with him.
what
So
you
that's
mean by
my
that? Like, you're not
my
with him no
daughters.
more?
I told you I didn't really want to have
obviously not.
other
Yes.
children, right?
Probably
Like,
said no.
what would you say? Go
I
ahead.
said,
like, are you with him no
you ain't
more?
with him no more. You outgrew him type shit. Yeah.
Oh yeah, I'm not with him
yeah,
anymore.
Obviously.
No.
What do you feel like makes somebody outgrow somebody? You know, obviously when you're young, you're I feel like sometimes a lot of times people stay in relationships due to their first love is their parents, right? So whatever parents, you know, whatever love that their parents showed.
Yes. Yeah. Absolutely.
You're going to stay in that because you're like, well, my parents made it work. So what if I leave?
But what if your parents were really happy?
But see, that's the thing about the old generation with our parents.
Yes,
they're more
part.
they're more machistas, and they're more like,
Yeah.
no,
we're gonna
I'm
make
not-
it work anyway.
Yeah, but they're gonna make it work.
Beat my ass, it's okay.
No, even though they're
Right till I
unhappy,
die, yeah.
like even though they're unhappy, they'll still like. I could tell you a story about my mom and my stepdad right now. Everybody goes through a struggle. My mom isn't happy. He's not happy, but they're getting older, so they're just right there, and it kind of sucks.
They become complacent.
Machista.
Yeah, and then
Complacent. They become
compared to,
complacent, right?
I've heard
Now
plenty of
to
stories
now, our
of them sleeping in
generation-
like different beds type shit.
Type
Yeah,
shit.
and then our generation now, they're starting to open their eyes. So obviously people,
Absolutely, that
get
part.
manipulated. They still stay stuck in a
Yeah.
relationship. But nowadays, I like to talk to people like you do, network.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
hear stories out. I hear women. I
Yes.
hear single moms. Because I'm a single
Yeah.
father myself. So like my ex put me through hell. If I tell you, you'll be like, damn, that's crazy.
Like, she's crazy.
No.
No, but I
What? She
believe
did
you.
what?
No.
I believe you for real.
What do you
she
think
did
about
what?
that, Jason? Like in regards to, people wanting to stay because of their parents. I mean, that's the first love.
I think a lot of people have some unhealthy attachment to the idea that what they've experienced in the past is what they have to continue doing, like because they've witnessed some sad stuff or they've been through some sad stuff that it now dictates their life and everything. Like, yeah, your parents did that and that's the dynamic they did, but you're not them and you're supposed to learn from them and
Exactly.
move on. That's the whole entire point.
That part.
Yeah, like if you like example, a woman stays in a relationship that she saw her parents get, be violent with each other, and she stays with the violent man because that's what she saw. So it's like it's familiar to you. So it's not really per se like she likes the guy.
comfortable.
Yeah, it's familiar. It's like,
But
ooh,
girl,
like,
ain't good-
that's why when a
nothing good
healthy
out of
guy
being
comes.
comfortable.
She's like, oh, okay,
Yeah,
this is
that's
what
why
I
when a
seen
healthy
growing
guy
up.
comes,
This
like
is
that's why the
okay.
girl's like, wait, you're not chaos. I'm used to chaos in my life. Like, get the fuck out.
Well, like with me, like when my daughters were telling me, my two younger daughters are like, Mom, we know you're not happy. Why don't you leave? Like, I'm like, but they were everything. That's why I stayed with my second husband. I stayed with him I was with him for over 20 years. Like, he helped me take care of my disabled. It wasn't his child either. Mind you. Okay, so my second husband, I had my 2 daughters after, like, I got out of prison, and like, he helped me take care of my disabled child. So, okay, yeah, there's ties. Like, there's some weird, like, not weird, but like strong, difficult ties, right? And my daughters were like, please be with dad. And like, he was in prison when I started my company. And of course, I'm going to do whatever it takes for my children. And then when they started telling me a few years ago, like, we know you're not happy, why don't you leave him?
Dang,
I was like, okay,
because your children are watching everything. They're
absolutely, and I'm thinking that I'm fooling them. I'm thinking that like, I had all the reason in the world to be. Like, he's literally taking care of. He's changing diapers. He's we do range of motion with my son. Like, I don't know if you know about like he's severely disabled, my son, right? And for a man to take over that role is everything for a woman who
that shit takes a lot,
and so I felt like I was like, fuck it, I'm just gonna continue to be mentally abused, physically abused, because I'm gonna take it for my son, like, for real. I put up with that shit.
Damn,
like, I did.
crazy.
My son, and I didn't have anybody. So, like, you're talking about home health. There's not home health anymore. There's no more home health after the pandemic. So I've been waiting on a wait list for like 2.5, 3 years for home health for my son. So, like, to leave was scary. To leave that, what I knew the most for my son, to give my son the best life, like, it was hard. It was hard because I didn't have the most average, situation. So I took it for my son. I'm like, fuck it, I'm just gonna take it for my son, and I'm gonna wait till my youngest daughter is 18, and I'm gonna put up with this shit. And like, he was hitting me, and I'm like, even though I know that I deserve better, like, when you have a situation like that, it's hard to leave. So I feel for women who are in that situation.
What if somebody's watching this right now and is like, they don't want to leave? What would you tell them? What advice would you give them?
Oh my gosh, find a way out. Like there is, I never thought there was a way out. And I found a way. Like, it was not easy. I was living in Mexico. I was living in a different country. I didn't have help. I didn't have family where I lived. There's always a way out. Like, contact me, hit me up. Like, for real, I'm going to help you find a way, because it was the best feeling, yet the most scariest feeling, the most scariest feeling to leave.
After you left your first husband, obviously you're going through a lot, you're healing and all. How long did it take you to fully heal?
I don't know if I ever really healed.
She's still healing type shit. Yeah.
I'm still healing.
So you're still healing as you go, right?
Gonna get right there.
Because I jumped right into another relationship. And then because he was willing to help me with my son, I feel like it was like, you have like more, you're soft for somebody, because they're like if you help me with my son, it's everything for me.
When you felt safe, you felt safe with him. A woman feels safe. That's it.
Yeah, well, like if a woman's at home, she has 3 kids and she's alone. She has nobody to support her. She's broken, right? And a man comes in, no matter if the man's healthy or not, right? And he comes in helping her financially, physically, like, and even if he's still hitting her or abusing her, like, she's gonna be like, all for it, because it feels good, right?
So what do you feel like? I'm sorry. What do you feel like healed you? Like, what healing did you do on yourself to change the game?
Well, I feel like when I turned 40, so that right now I'm 49. When I turned 40, I just started to really wanting to work on myself. Like, I knew there was more, right? Like, I knew there was more. And my second husband, my girls' dad, he would laugh at me. I would listen to podcasts. He would like, what the hell is this shit? Like, I'm like,
oh, turn this shit off.
Yeah, turn this shit off. And I'm like all about it. If you know me, I'm like all on podcasts. I want to heal like all day, every day me. Like, I had to there's a point, like, I like music. I love music, by the way. But I had to cut that out to hear the silence. Like, I had to really work on my mindset, really work on the inner child, really work on
inner child work,
Yes. And so and it's always a work, right? Like, we're always working, but I feel like I'm in such a better place. But he was part of it that thought it was funny. How is that funny? Like, someone who wants to be a better person, right?
This was crazy, and this is what I've learned. Obviously, I'm 28. I'm about to be 28 this year, But of what I learned is that even from TikTok and other platforms, like you, for example, your husband was seeing you trying to like better yourself. So he has so much hurt that he's seeing you like trying to like blossom and grow. That
He's uncomfortable.
He was uncomfortable and wanted to bring you down to his level.
Absolutely.
And that's how the generation is too nowadays.
That's
well,
on
and I
point.
feel like a lot of Hispanic men, like they're like, it's very hit and miss with being, like if you want to go to counseling, you're weird, you're crazy.
They don't believe in that.
Yeah, they're like, absolutely.
They're just like,
and
just
he's
pray to God.
Hispanic. He's like, exactly.
Yeah, they just
exactly.
yeah.
Like, and you know what?
they really don't.
Oh my gosh, yes.
Yeah.
They really
That
don't.
part, like, yes, they really think that. Like, I'm like,
And he's
no,
not lying
we're like
at all.
evolving as people are changing. We're in a movement. I feel like it's so like if you're not working on yourself, it's not normal, which is amazing, right? Like I feel
agree.
like right.
I agree. No, and
But you know what? 5 years ago, that wasn't. You know, if you're like going to counseling, you're like, oh, you have
Está
problems.
loca, like loco.
Yeah, like now I feel like
Está
it's
mal de la
okay.
cabeza, like she's
How
seeking
amazing
someone
that it's
else.
okay that we're working on ourselves.
Yeah. No.
You know, that we want to be different people, that men and
No,
women.
shout out to the
you
lad
know?
community for like working on themselves.
Yeah,
for real. Like,
absolutely.
keep going
Yeah.
for real. We
I
gotta change that
think
stigma for real.
what's important too is a lot of
gotta work
men, like a
together.
lot of people, when they're emotionally abusing you or verbally abusing you, it's because they don't want you to know your worth. Because once you know your worth,
Yes.
you gonna fucking leave.
Absolutely.
As soon as a woman knows her worth, she ain't going back.
Yeah.
She is
Yeah.
not going
But you know
back.
what's sad is that it's because it's passed down for generations. Like we gotta break the fucking generational curses that we are put. Hello, it goes so far. Even though, like, listen, for real, like when you're adopted, like I still have my own shit that I don't even know that wasn't even raised in, that still I need to break. You know, and as a woman, like for my children, I'm like, me becoming a better person, a stronger woman, a healthier mom, a healthier woman. That is all like teaching my children, like it's okay to be different. It's okay to change. It's okay to evolve into something new and better. You know, and that's the goal. I feel like for real, like. The generational shit, like we don't even realize what we're battling against. Like it's crazy. It's deep.
Kind of to piggyback what you said, be the best version of yourself. You know what I mean?
Period.
Like for real, no matter what it takes. Like,
Yeah. What do you think about that, Jason? He's always about that.
I know. Like, I listen to him
I
all
know,
the time.
Jason's
I'm
like-
okay.
What do you think about that, Jason? Whenever somebody
He's like
says,
so serious.
or when they blame their
Like you
childhood.
check myself like.
or a lot of guys, they'll be like, well, I'm the way I am because my mom never loved me. Like, what the fuck you mean? You 40 years old. Fuck you mean your mama didn't love
I mean, that's a fact though. Like you're 40,
Yeah.
you have to be able to move shit. But you started exactly like you said. You started working on yourself because you realized that you weren't going to be able to move past anything unless you elevated yourself.
Absolutely.
And
Damn.
so many people just like to blame, everything else going on. Like you said, the generational stuff, or my parents did this, or my siblings
Or
or old
me.
relationship.
was
Exactly.
raised this way.
Yeah, this was sad. Or I was yelled at when I was a child, so now I have no confidence. Like,
Yeah,
okay, like you
yeah,
have to
yeah,
let
yeah.
shit
Like, okay,
go.
get it
at a-
together.
yeah, you have to let shit go at a certain point. And just
Absolutely.
like you say, you have kids now. Like you can't walk around because shit was bad when you were 14 that you're now slacking for your children and giving them the same example.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Nope. Yep.
There's a saying,
Absolutely.
there's a saying, guys, where it's like heal from what broke you as a child before the child has to heal from you as a parent.
Yeah.
And that's so true. You have to break the generational curses, guys. And even having you on the show, like giving us your time. And honestly, we learned a lot in regards to your story and just how far you came, and you left that toxic relationship. And guys, now she has a business that's booming. And honestly, like, we're so happy to have you here, guys. Like,
Thank you.
I am. Yeah.
So happy
yeah,
to
we
be
appreciate you
here.
for being here.
Yes,
Yeah,
thank you. I'm so happy to be here. For real.
and just sharing your story, and Jason, also giving out that raw advice, and Robert really chiming in. I mean, guys, we're so thankful to learn about how far you've came in regards to leaving toxic relationships, loving yourself, because that's exactly what freed you, is to heal yourself and to learn and evolve. And honestly, guys, like, you guys got to check out her store.
wanna
It's
add to that part.
Candy Couture. And then what else did you
You
say?
said that about freeing yourself was also taking responsibility that you had to be the one to
For
do
real.
it.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Oh my gosh. And you know what? Sometimes all the time we have to humble ourselves to be like, man, I'm the fucking one. Like, and that's hard to do at times, but I feel like people always ask me, how can I become different? How can I make a change? That's the first part. Is it all starts from within, right?
Yep, it starts with
my
you.
gosh,
It
like,
starts
you
like with
know?
yourself. Like, it
And
starts
And you know
with
what?
you.
That's the ego. We gotta fucking beat down the ego. The ego ain't shit. Like the ego is always trying to get us to be the person we don't want to be. You know. So the more that I really, push down the ego ain't shit. Like that's the person.
Humility over ability type
Absolutely.
shit.
I just be
Accountability.
like, oh well, you know what? I'm like it made me feel like I was better than everybody, not better than, but I didn't want to hear anybody.
Pride.
I didn't want to
Take a
hear
look in the
anybody.
mirror,
It was
yeah.
pride.
Yeah, absolutely. And and that comes from, I feel like when you've had a hard background, that's a facade we put up, right? A facade, a wall that we put up that we don't want to hear other people that, oh, they don't know, they don't understand. Let people in. Little by little, it's like a banana, but smaller than that. Like little by little, you peel off the bullshit, peel off the shit that you want to remove.
I agree
Absolutely.
with you with letting people in, but at the same time, you
Save
have to
people.
have a
Yes.
little wall, a barrier,
Boundaries.
Absolutely.
boundaries, because
Healthy boundaries.
Yeah, don't let me don't cuss at me. Don't tell me that shit. You have to have self-respect.
Absolutely. You have to make sure that you're whoever you're letting in is in a good place. You can tell that. Like you can tell energy wise. Like
That's
I feel
it.
like the more that you listen to your intuition, you could feel like this person they're vibing, they have a good energy.
They're
Like
intelligent.
you could feel it. And the more that you listen to that intuition, the easier it gets to read that. So I feel like I know the minute I walk into a room and it's negative energy, like,
you just feel the
Facts.
good vibe.
Right?
And,
Yep.
You
Same
feel
thing you walk. It's like
and
you can tell you walk
I'm
to
a weird
hospitals,
person like that. I'm
prisons,
like,
all
and
that,
I'll be like, I gotta go.
1000%. Can't be a part of this.
I'm like, I gotta go.
No
because
negativity.
it's not feeding me.
No,
you know?
not at all. All it's gonna do is bring you down.
Yeah,
And
like I could chill with whoever. Like I chill occasionally and for a minute, and I'm like, this is not good for me. Like I know, like I want to be a better person than I was yesterday. Doesn't mean I'm better than everybody. Doesn't mean I'm better than anybody. But I want to grow as a person. So if people aren't feeding me, feeding my energy, feeding my soul, making me a better person, pushing me to the next level, then I don't need
And
anything
get
to
the
do with
fuck
them.
out.
Absolutely.
Yeah, you don't need to be
Absolutely.
around
What
that
do you
shit.
do with your time? You know, if that's the biggest part with change.
Not everybody
With
deserves
change,
your
Like
energy.
it starts from within.
Yeah.
You know, so the more that we grow, then you're influenced. Like you people notice it. They're like, okay, you're different. Okay, because you can't hide it. You can't hide it. Like the
raw.
energy you can't hide.
Yeah.
So like that's an important factor, but you have to be cautious for sure, because that's why I have a tiny circle, like very tiny. The more that you get better as a person,
I was about to say, the better that you're doing, the less
it
people are
becomes
gonna
like,
understand you.
no, and I agree with
Absolutely.
Jason. Yep, and I agree with you guys on that
I
part.
agree wholeheartedly. Like honestly, guys, even coming from a place of not having self-worth, and when you really work on yourself and you do that work, it all starts with accountability, because all you guys know is
Facts.
accountability. You have to own up to your shit. You have to swallow your pride. It's like, all right,
Yes.
well, I am fucking up in life. Like you need to be
Yes.
able to take that accountability to change your life. And I'm so
Absolutely.
proud that you actually did that. Like you should be so proud for leaving that man.
Yes, thank you.
No offense.
No offense.
If you're watching this,
I'm
honestly.
dead. No
but
offense.
I want to thank you so much for coming on and giving us your time. I want to thank Jason. Guys, he's so raw with it. You guys got to follow him. The Jason Lamar.
The Jason Lamar.
You got to follow him and let him coach you. He will
Absolutely.
He'll scare you at first, but it's all love.
He's very like,
No, it's all about mindset.
And we
It's all
got
about
KJ
mindset.
too
Yeah,
right
absolutely.
here. Thank
All
you so
about
much,
mindset.
KJ. And we got Robert. Honestly, new person to the show, but honestly, he just fit right in. So I really do appreciate you.
Yeah,
Robert,
I
coming
appreciate
on.
you.
And I appreciate, like I said, everybody tapping in. And honestly, her story is really inspiring, guys. Like if you guys are going through toxic relationships, any emotional abuse, just know that it gets better when you decide to leave, when you decide to know your worth, when you decide to just finally put yourself first. So
When you decide to make it better.
there you go. And when you decide
Absolutely.
to make it better. So guys, thank you guys so much for tuning into this show. And just honestly, thank you to Tantilla Productions, guys. You guys can look it up on Instagram, Facebook. Like he literally made this for us. So we really do appreciate that, because if you guys looked at our shows, we don't have that. So we really do appreciate you, man.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, so
really
shout out
thank you
to Big Dog
for
right here.
staying for us. And thank you guys to the audience. 2 people right here in the back. Like honestly,
All the
they
way from
listen to
Cali.
this.
All
I
the way
hope
from
we were
Cali,
good.
for real.
Like I hope you guys soaked this in. And honestly, KJ, thank you for he started with me in the beginning. So thank you so much, bro, for trusting the vision.
Love
And
being
guys,
here. Love being
tune
here.
in with us. We have a
It's an
new
experience.
collab coming. We're gonna say more, but
We got merch coming.
you got merch drop. And honestly, she's gonna be
Yeah.
joining in with us. So thank you so much for
Yes.
coming in.
excited.
Make sure you guys tune in to
appreciate
her
y'all listening,
Instagram.
Kelly.
Follow her. We'll link it down. And like I said, guys, back to the next show next week. Let's get it. Hey!